the destruction of man-made structures we condemn as vandalism, while the destruction of nature we defend as development. We cut trees to build houses, for fuel, and to burn charcoal. We clear huge areas of land for industry and agriculture. And once there are no trees left in that particular area, we move on to another. If we stop to think, we would realize that there exists only one Earth. And if we continue on this self-destructive path, there will be nowhere else to move on to. Welcome to Our Environment, Our Future. I'm your presenter, Ruth Venzu Witola. Our topic on the program today is forest management. We depend on the forests for survival, from the air we breathe to the wood we use. Forests also provide habitats for animals, watershed protection, prevention of soil erosion, and mitigation of climate change. Yet, despite all this, we are still allowing them to disappear. Between 1990 and 2000, Zambia lost an average of 440,800 hectares of forest each year, an equivalent to over 300,000 football pitches. This rate increased by 10% between 2000 and 2005. In total, between 1990 and 2005, Zambia lost nearly 14% of its forest cover. With increased industrialization, urbanization, and agriculture, we are left to wonder the magnitude of this loss today. So yes, it is clear that there is a growing problem of deforestation in Zambia. But what exactly is causing it?
One of the major causes of deforestation is land conversion. You know, as the population starts growing, you want to find more land to settle. So as you are trying to find where to settle, you tend to cut down the trees and convert that into settlements. So you build your houses, you build your infrastructure, you want to build your industry, whatever. So you are now removing those trees. That is one of the causes. Agriculture is also one of the causes of deforestation. You know, as you want to expand your field, because maybe your farming methods, they are not sustainable. So you want to have more yields. So in order to balance between unsustainable farming methods and the amount of yield you would like, you tend to increase the cropland or the farmland. Where do you go? You go and clear the trees. You remove the trees so that you open up for agriculture. Sometimes deforestation can also be caused by wildfires. In some cases, you find that because of certain practices, for instance, in the eastern part, you find people want to catch certain type of wild animals. They'll set the forest ablaze. Now, when those dead wood in the forest, you know, they catch fire, they tend to increase in intensity and in density, therefore spreading to a larger part. In the process, you'll find that smaller trees and shrubs and the regrowth, they are all bent and therefore destroying the forest. So these are the major causes of deforestation in Zambia.
But other causes would be maybe encroachments, where people are looking for settlements in these forest or degazetted areas. And some could be industrialization. Charcoal production is on the increase due to the increased tariffs for electricity. So people opt to use charcoal as the alternative source of energy.
The loss of forests has led to worsening effects of climate change, such as droughts and floods. These, in turn, have brought about food, water, and energy insecurity, especially among our country's most vulnerable. Climate change, however, is only one of the many effects of deforestation.
Zema works in collaboration with various institutions mandated to manage the forest. Particularly, we have the forest department, which is the sole purpose is to manage, regulate, and enforce the utilization of forests and forest products. Now, as Zema, one of the ways that we do, we have got a law that enhances this collaboration, which is the environmental impact assessment. When people want to apply for logging is cutting trees for use as timber or something like that. So as they apply to logging, we are required that they do an assessment. We want to know what type of species are they cutting, to what extent are these going to cut, where are they going to cut, and how are they going to cut. So we want to monitor. So these they have to submit to us, we have to approve. That is one of the ways that we control the use of forest. The other thing that we also try to collaborate with the forest issues is to have what we call monitoring of fire occurrences. You may be aware that Zema has got a satellite receiver where we are able to monitor the fire intensity and the extent.
Zafiko is into proper forestry management in that we run our forestry, our forest plantations sustainably by planting trees. Whenever we cut a tree, we ensure that we plant. And we've even embarked on extension programs where we are extending to other provinces like Shuangandu, Kawambwa, and anywhere else where we can, where there can be availability of land. We are trying to plant as many trees as we can. As I'm speaking, we have about 50,000 hectares of land around Zambia where we've planted our trees. So we ensure that we don't cut our trees anyhow, and where there are plantations, cutting down of trees without any consent is something that we don't allow.
We are in Mambo Plantations. It was established in the late 50s.
Okay.
Yeah, and as you can see to your left, this is one of the compartments. This compartment was established in 2007, which is about 11 years now. Yeah, and the species that we have is Pinus ocapa. Yeah, it's basically a pine tree. This is the only regional supply plantation in Southern Province. It was established to supply timber to the people of Southern Province. So that is very important, especially when it comes to the construction industry. And with the coming of, the provincial capital to Choma, Choma is now an emerging city, and you would see that a lot of people have gone into construction, and hence the demand for timber is good softwood that is used for construction. As a department, there are a number of measures that we engage in. There's some routine patrols that we undertake, and we also do some management prescriptions such as weeding, pruning, and thinning, just to maintain the health status of the trees.
So we are planting trees, which is the pines and eucalyptus, for our commercial purposes. Because if you look at the construction industry in Zambia, there's a lot of demand for wood. And then Choma National Forest is surrounded by villages. All these villages also have needs for wood. So their target has always been Mambo, because we have the fast growing exotic species. So we talked to them about this and explained to them why it was important to manage this area. So for them to really buy into our idea, what we do is, if there is any work that is to be done in this plantation, the people we target first are the people living around the plantation and the reserve in general. So we employ those, they come here, they do the nursery works, they do all the silvicultural works in the compartments. So through that, they are learning how to manage the plantation for the government.
Without forests, the environment will be sick. To define the importance of forests, I normally use the word itself, forest. The F in that word, forest, I look at it as finance. It is crucial finance that can help us sustain, our environment. The O in that forest, I refer to it as the ozone. We are talking of climate change, the ozone layer being destroyed. So if we protect these forests, we are protecting the ozone layer. Forests repair the environment. The E, I call it the environment itself, I call it the ecosystem. It provides that balance to the ecosystem that gives us a conducive environment. And the S, nowadays we are talking of sustainability. Without sustainable management of forests, you cannot talk about sustainable development. And the T that is there is talking about you and me. What are we thinking about? Are we thinking about tomorrow? The trees that we have, if we just cut and cut and cut, are we thinking about posterity? So in a nutshell, that is how important, that is how salient forests are to the environment.
Plantations such as this help reduce pressure on indigenous forests. But this is not all that can be done.
So now, the Forest Act has also brought up a new dimension to the management of forests. It's called community joint forestry management. It allows the communities to come together and declare a community area as a forest and register with the forest department to say we are going to jointly manage this forest, thereby regulating its use.
When we grow the seedlings in our nursery, these same people are given out some tree species, especially the exotic ones, which they're supposed to plant in their various villages so that they can have their own woodlots within their villages where they're going to get their wood needs for fuel and also for construction.
So even for our sawmillers, not only do we encourage them to just think of buying raw materials from us for timber processing, but we also encourage them to have their own plantations where they would plant their trees for future use.
So we've seen that through that we have reduced the numbers of pilferage or stealing, if I may put it that way. But still we have a challenge because we have like 6 officers, 6 workers who are based here in Mambo. And Mambo is about 1,600 hectares. So for those 6 workers to really look around and monitor what is happening, it is a big challenge. So you see, as usually they are stationed there, then the cutting is going on the other side. They can't do that. So what we really need is motorized transport. If we can have maybe even 4 or 5 bikes, then we can have an increased number of personnel, maybe even 20, because all those things are in our management plan. We have stated that the number of need for us to optimally manage this area is about 25. So we need an upgrade from that 6 to maybe 20. If we don't look after it, then fire comes, everything goes. So we really need an improvement in the funding. We really need an improvement in the manpower so that we can actually work hand in hand with the community.
So we are done. Sir, are you going to plant one? Please plant one, then you can come back and say, I planted that.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Benjamin Miwenge, an environmental activist, a member of Green Pop and chairperson of the Wildlife and Environmental Conservation Society, has taken it upon himself to help roll back deforestation, one tree at a time.
Our main thing, that of planting trees, I think has been a very, very important aspect of our life. Currently, we have a radio program. What we normally do is you pick up a tree, you describe it, if it is medicinal, if it is timber, and things like that. Once people know the use of trees, then they will actually protect them. If, for example, you found people standing, like that gentleman is standing under the shade, you know, it is rare that people think about what is giving them shade, because we take life for granted that this thing will always be there. I mean, look, we drink water, but we don't associate it with the forest. We put on leather shoes, but we don't associate it with the forest. I fail to understand that. It's the forest that help us generate rain. When it rains, then the grass grows. When the grass grows, then cattle eat. When they've eaten, that's how we get our hide. Most of the medicine that we are getting in hospitals, for example, they come from the forest, with the contribution of the forest and so on. That's why you find that in Livingstone, for example, people come and ask, Uncle Ben, can you give us trees to plant? You know, that is a feedback. Then you know people appreciate. We go around, if we see somebody cut a tree, it's total war. Here it is total, I can tell you, we do that, we try to stop, you can quarrel and so on. At the end of the day, you make friends because you have actually explained to them why they should not cut the trees. For many of us, the forest is key to everything that we do. And without that, we may come to the end. It sounds funny, like it will never happen. So it will happen. I feel so bad when I look at the little one. You can see this little boy who is 1 year. We pray that he will get to my age, which is 72. But by that time, where do you think the forest will be if the situation continues as it is now? Then it will be hell. That's what I keep on telling people. I said, then there's no point even having babies if you can't plan for them for the coming 50 or 70 years. So these are the things that we must be doing, and it is important that we do it. Nobody else is going to do it. We have people coming from outside to help us, but at the end of the day, it is ourselves that must do it. And we have the brains.
The community is basically not fully involved in the environmental management, because I think most of the communities do not really understand the policies of government and their role in managing our environment as such.
Deforestation is changing our climate, causing health problems and negatively impacting our natural world. We must and can reverse this environmental problem. Stopping deforestation might seem complicated, but planting a tree is simple.
I think there is need for a lot of sensitization as well as education to interpret some of the government policies in as far as management of natural resources which are closer to them is concerned, as well as beginning from school children, so that they grow with that awareness of safeguarding our natural resources whose livelihood actually depend.
One day, when the last tree is cut and the last rain falls, we will realize that we cannot eat money. We should not stand by and live in a world where such a day is possible. You have been watching Our Environment, Our Future. My name is Ruth Benzo-Witola. Until next time, it's bye for now.